Welcome to the Passionate Pioneer podcast. Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm passionate about supporting women who are feeling disillusioned and disappointed with their career and showing them what is possible when you follow your passion. Having your voice heard, finding your tribe of like minds, and being able to get support is so important when you don't know where to turn or who to talk to. I transformed my life from the corporate world to the coaching world, and I now empower women to follow my example and claim the freedom of choice to follow their heart, soul, and passion. So let's get started. Today I am joined by Mariya Dimitrova. Mariya made the fatal mistake of quitting her corporate job 70 years ago to start her business, but it was too soon. Realizing her mistake of getting immediate results in her new business, which was her passion, she went back to her job and started building her business slowly in her free time. This gave her the opportunity to build a client portfolio as a side hustle and have a smoother transition when she was ready to quit the rat race. That time is now, and she is here to tell us her story. Welcome, Mariya.
Hello, Beth. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of your podcast. I love to be here and share my story, and hopefully with my story, I'll be able to help and inspire other women that have been, along the similar journey. So that it was very difficult for me to accept that I've done the mistake, because just like I've always considered myself as being a leader and a very passionate person. And my problem has always been that I didn't know what I wanted. Throughout my university years, I thought that university was going to prepare me for life, but it didn't. And, going into a completely different country, I'm originally from Bulgaria, going to England to study, I really thought that the education there is going to really prepare me for life. And it wasn't that.
I don't think anything prepares you for life, right?
No, I think I had really false expectations. And
Right.
And at the end of uni, I was really wondering, what the hell do I want to do with my life? And obviously I had to get a job because my parents couldn't support me anymore. So I got myself a job. I became an auditor in a really big corporation. And at the beginning, it was really interesting to meet new people in different environments. But I immediately felt caged and trapped because I grew up in the mountains as a very free person, the mountains of Bulgaria, and I never had to have restrictions like this. And having a 9-to-5 job felt somebody is literally caging my soul into a prison, and there's just absolutely no escape. And I always knew that the corporate world is not really meant for me, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it wasn't until a year later when I found out different courses, started searching for different ways to find out what I want. And I found incredible courses with different mentors and teachers. And I started going deeper into understanding who am I. And I was kind of at the end of 22 or 22, I think, at the time. And it was exactly when I started discovering what is intuition, how do I connect with myself, how do I get the answers from Mariya, not Mariya who the parents thought to be, or not what society tells me to be, but what Mariya actually wants to be.
It's a big, can I just say, it's a big question, isn't it, Mariya? Who am I? Because, you're not your name, you're not your job, you're not your parents, you're not your family, you are you. It's a big question, isn't it, to start asking yourself, who am I? And when you start doing that and you start, asking those bigger questions, for me, it's what I call a spiritual turning point. It's when you realize there's a bigger picture at play.
Absolutely.
Right.
Completely agree with you. Couldn't agree more. And even though my parents and society and friends could see me as very successful because I had my education, I always had amazing grades, I had a great job, very well paid, I'm traveling, obviously everybody would see me as successful, but inside, like, my soul was kind of crushing until I started answering those deeper questions. Who am I? What do I want to do? And to be honest, I always thought that once I find it, life's going to be easy, but it doesn't work like this. Once you wake up and understand what it is that you want, that means starting your life from zero again, because what you've done so far is not where you want to be anyway. So it's literally being reborn and starting from zero again. So it was scary.
There is obviously some things that you can take from those experiences. I mean, I've changed career. I don't know how many times I changed my career before starting this business. for starting my coaching business. And, you know, and I can always look back and I can always take bits of those experiences to use now in my coaching business, which I do. And I'm sure you've had lots of experiences as an auditor.
Yes,
and in university and in life that you use now.
Yes, of course, life experiences do matter, and we do build on skills that we can then leverage, and it is useful. So you're right, it's not like starting from scratch, but it felt like it, because I come from a very scientific background. I did business and economics. My parents are maths teachers and engineers. So I come from a very scientific background, and finding out that my purpose is all about, supporting women in the personal development area, helping them step into their own power, following their passion, working with love and sexuality and relationships. That was so abstract to my brain. I couldn't even, I was so excited to find out that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't know where to start. It was like a completely different area where I didn't even feel like I had anything to contribute at that time. But the interesting part is that once you know what you want, you can start taking the necessary steps to make it happen.
Of course, now we have more freedom of choice, don't we? We're just really scared because we've been pigeonholed so long into, as women, we've got to get a job. Years ago, I know you said you come from quite a logical background. I mean, my parents were a policeman and a nurse, but they were very conservative. And so, if I wanted to do something that was creative, like be a musician, that it wouldn't pay the bills. They were very afraid of what I went into. And also, for women, as you said, I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Conservative.
Yeah, for women, it's we only had limited choices many years ago, and the choices that are available now are a lot more, but we don't think. But our limitations on ourselves, we don't think they are available to us. There are many choices, but we don't think that we are available. We're too afraid to step into that, to step on into the other side of the familiar corporate or professional world, to actually try and find, who am I and what am I here for? What's my bigger purpose here, which is your passion, right?
Absolutely. So yes, I really agree with you. And if you think about it, it's like a very interesting and even logical explanation. If you think about it, back in the day when it was the time of wars, the men were outside trying to fight, right? Trying to fight. And the women were indoors to look after the kids and to look after the house, because this was how it was in order to survive. The man needs to go out and hunt or fight, and the woman needs to be there with the kids and to cook and to look after having future generations who will, kids again, go and fight to protect the country.
Yeah, we were the nurturers, right?
Exactly.
The nurturers, the carers, the healers,
Exactly. And it's so obvious in nowadays society that the men are so used to being out there, putting themselves out there in the world, because that's what they've always done, right? Go out there, fight if you have to, for whatever you believe in. That they're so used to standing up for themselves. But for women, because that role has not been part of our life up until recently, women are actually, for the first time in our civilization, really waking up to the power of, actually, I have a personality that goes beyond the housekeeping and beyond being a mother. So what is that role? What is that purpose? Who am I? Who do I want to be? And then how do I be that?
Yeah, right? How can I be that? Yes.
And even can I be that? Exactly, because there is an inner force that is calling us, to be great and to express and to create the things that we want to create. But in the end of the day, there's also that part of us that's resisting that change, because it's so out of what we are used to. What is, we cannot get away from our past. It's all in our biology and in our genes to kind of try to stop ourselves so that we can be home and look after the kids and the house and etc. So it takes sometimes willpower and a strong choice to actually step up in that power and go and face yourself, face your fears, and face your resistance if you want, and do. And it requires a lot of vulnerability as well, because it's not a natural way to go and do this in an aggressive way, which some of our female leaders do, because we believe that we have to become like men so that we can be seen as authority in the
Correct.
world.
It's a very masculine world,
It's
isn't
a very
it?
masculine world. So we try to be like men in order to be respected and seen as successful, but then we shoot ourselves in the foot, because the more we connect to our masculine qualities, the less need and the less attracted we become to men, because we almost compete with them. Who is better? I can be a better man than you, even though I'm a woman. So it becomes like a power struggle rather than a complement of masculine and feminine energy.
Correct.
And that creates massive issues.
I think we also we'd lose our identity, don't we, in our profession, in our corporate world, because of the masculine dominance. Like you said, we're trying to match them. And we're losing our identity in the meantime. I would like to step back actually with you to the time when you, first of all, when you obviously found you did the deeper digging into who am I, and you stepped out and you stepped away from your job and then realized, I've made a big mistake here, but it takes time to build a business and it's not going to happen overnight. So I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about that, because that's really interesting.
Yes, this is probably the lowest point of my life that I've ever been in, because I was really used to going for what I want and always succeeding and achieving. And this was the first moment where I went for something and I went completely blinded by my passion, completely blinded my enthusiasm, that finally I've waited for 22 years to understand what I want. Now I know what I want. I'm quitting my job and I'm going to do it. And that was the biggest mistake, because I didn't understand, I didn't have a concept at the time that building a business, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Even though we see all these successful stories that overnight somebody became a millionaire, I can tell you that behind that one day that somebody hit that £1 million, there's probably 10 years worth of time of all the 10,000 hours that we know we need to put into, to become really great at something. So I had to learn it the hard way, call it being young enthusiast. So I left my job to try to build my business, but obviously I wasn't getting enough content, didn't have enough experience. I haven't built my brand and my reputation. So obviously I wasn't doing so well, and I couldn't really get by very well. So I tried and pushed, but also trying to build experience while I was building a brand. It was just really messy. So I thought, one day I just came to my sense and I realized, Mariya, this is not how it's meant to be. The reason why I was lacking confidence at the time is because I didn't have enough experience. And acknowledging that was probably one of the hardest things to accept, that actually I have made a mistake, because I didn't want to admit that I've made a mistake. So I pushed and pushed and pushed until I had to force myself to sit down and say, Mariya, you don't have confidence, not because you lack confidence, but because you don't have the experience to prove that you're really good at what you do. And therefore, you cannot attract the right clients, the right people, the right team. And therefore, you're just not operating at the level that you can if you had that experience. And admitting that I made a mistake, I did it too early, was the first step for me to be able to then make corrective actions. So admitting that was kind of the hardest point. And then obviously from there onwards, it was obvious. I just needed to go back to England and just start again, go to the corporate job again, and really get more experience. When I say experience, I mean experience in the corporate, but start doing something on the side. Started doing my business on the side, started running courses on the side with people that were closer to me, people that I knew, or friends of friends. So I started gathering, slowly collecting like a bigger group, so that people could trust me and I can practice. It was for free, then it was for a smaller fee, until kind of I built my confidence and then build my experience. And when I was ready, a few years down the line, I could feel that there's just this sensation inside of you when you're gaining experience, then, and with enough people and different people from different walks of life, then you know that you can really help and support people.
Yes, correct.
I had that inner feeling, actually, I feel ready now. And when I felt ready, literally, when you're ready, things happen so naturally. Synchronicities just happen. But when we try to rush things, we face so much resistance. It's almost like the world, the universe is not with us.
Right.
And it's
just like, why is everything going wrong? Why is this not happening? Why is this not happening? Yeah. I think what most people don't realize is with coaches and mentors and teachers is the hours that go behind the scenes. Like you said, success just does not happen overnight. And And I know the other women I've spoken to on this podcast, you can't just go from A to Z. It just doesn't happen overnight. You've got to build it slowly. You can start it as a side hustle and build it from there, which is good. Or the other route is to leave that corporate world and find something that fulfills your soul, makes you happy. For me, it was to be a teacher. I found that I stepped into teaching quite easily. I'm just a natural teacher, and I love that. And I bring that into my coaching. Coach, teach, mentor. They all sort of overlap in one way or another. And so you can there's a few ways you can do it. You can start it as a side hustle and then transition into a sort of a job that is more aligned with who you are and aligned with that passion. Or you can just wait and build your portfolio and do it that way. But there is a lot of behind the scenes that people don't realize to get the experience. I've done a lot, many pro bono sessions, and to get reviews and feedback as well, because I need to know what works and what doesn't work. Exactly. So you can hone your skills, right?
Absolutely, exactly. And that feeling your way through, is really key, because we need to flex, we need to grow, we need to develop in order to position ourselves as a you don't have to be the best in the world, but you have to be the best in your niche. Like, you just striving for the best and be the best version of yourself in whatever you do, and that takes time. We all know about the 10,000 hours, and it doesn't happen overnight, for sure. It's definitely not how I thought it would work when I was 22. And I guess we learn as we go. And then with the corporate as well, good thing about the first century, and especially post-COVID, COVID and post-COVID world, is that it's a lot more flexible, even for the big corporations. So what I managed to do is reduce my working hours. So instead of doing 5 days a week, I work 4 days a week, and soon I'm going to be working 3 days a week, because that allows me to have more time outside of the corporate to build my business. So I'm actually the only person in the whole entire company that, at my level, I work flexibly with less amount of time and hours and days, for reasons other than being a mother. Usually, the funny thing is, women feel so entitled to claim their time if it's related to being a mother. But women don't want to say, oh, actually, I want to have a business, or I just want to have more free time. It's just not widely accepted in our society, which I think is crazy. Yeah. Why don't, is it if only we can have an excuse, if only being a mother is the only excuse to want to have more free time. Yeah. Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. We were always just we put everybody else first, don't we?
Everybody else first.
Even the baby's an excuse, right? We put the baby first. The baby's the excuse, right? Instead of thinking about ourselves. Yeah, I think COVID, when COVID happened, there are positive and negatives, but one of the big things was that it was a big wake-up call for many of us.
Oh yes, that was the goal.
To reevaluate our lives. What are we really doing? What's my life about? Who am I? Right? Exactly. That's it, right? And what am I meant to do? And there's many women I know that have quit their jobs, stepped into their following their passion, and really realizing their dreams and their goals are different to what they thought they would. Because on the other side of your 9 to 5, we've no idea what we're capable of, really.
Exactly. I agree, because they put you in the corporate, they put you in a box which they need somebody to do or to serve, and you have no space for your own creativity, which most of the time doesn't fit that particular box. And that, for me, is killing our own life force. Because I look at people as pure life force that's constantly seeking expression. And in every stage of life, we seek different kind of expression. And if we're not connected to that inner life force that's constantly guiding us, where to go, how to go about life, what choices to make, if we're not connected to that part, and if we constantly keep being boxed in these other people's boxes, let's put it this way, we can never live a truly fulfilling life. We'll constantly be self-dimming our own light. And that has so many physical, emotional, psychological, in spiritual, any sort of consequences. And therefore, the biggest pandemic in 21st century for me is not even COVID. It is the mental health issues that
Right.
that everybody has. Why back in the day when people were, even fighting and having wars, didn't have that many health issues? Why? Right? Compared to what we have now, we are meant to be evolving, not de-evolving. So,
yeah,
mental health.
I think we're very aware. We're more aware now, aren't we, of mental health awareness issues than we were years ago. Years ago, we just brushed them under the carpet and said, "Oh, just get on with it," Whereas now we're much more aware, self-aware of when we of depression, anxiety, panic attacks. All of these things that women and men experience, but women for sure. Some of the women I've spoken to, have had those times, overwhelm, panic,
it is slightly harder because we're just now starting to rise up, right? So for us, this is the first time that we're actually rising up in our power. So for us, it's extra more, just a tiny bit more challenging compared to
pioneers, right? This is the Passionate Pioneer podcast, right? We're the pioneers. I'm speaking to pioneering women here. So tell us a little bit more about your passion, Mariya.
About my passion. Okay, so I'm very passionate about other women that are practically similar to me. People, women that are ambitious, know that they're born for great things, but just don't know how to. They don't know how to, how to do it and what it is that they're great at. And therefore, I kind of, in my programs and the things that I do, I tend to serve other women like me who want to step up in their power and really rise into their divine feminine, rise into their own talents and abilities that are inherent to them, and really rise and step in so that they can be a wholesome person. And what I mean by this is, find their purpose, find their needs and desires, find their, inherent qualities, and build a life that resonates with who you are from inside. Because if the outside world that we live in and we've chosen to be in doesn't resonate with who we are from the inside, we'll always live this double life, which causes not only unfulfillment, the least, but so many, as we had said, issues on a mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, even level. So that's kind of what I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about supporting women stepping up in their greatness, stepping up and shining their light into the world, sharing themselves, sharing their talents. Because what I believe in is that our talents are ours, but they're not for us. They're our talents because our talents serve the world in a particular way. Because if you are a speaker or a coach or a healer or whatever you're really passionate about, that means if something is your passion, that means you have the inherent resources and skills to fulfill that passion, to make that happen. And that passion is not for us, right? So I have a saying that we are being really selfish, but not choosing to live our passion, because our passion is not for us. It's to serve the world with it. And when we don't follow our passion, we're actually depriving the world from one of the missing pieces of the puzzle, because the universe doesn't make mistakes when we are created. Everybody plays a particular role. Everybody is a little piece of that puzzle. And when we don't fulfill our purpose and when we don't follow our passion, we're actually having a missing piece in the world. We're leaving that missing spot.
And we actually feel unfulfilled as well. There's something you can just try and you can just do more in your job, but you still feel unfulfilled because you're not actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing what you were told to do or doing what everybody else does, right?
Exactly.
And we're not meant to be put in a box.
No.
Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. And I really love that, because it's about following. What does he mean? Follow your bliss. It means follow your joy. So what are the things that you love to do? What are the things that bring you joy?
Exactly.
And follow that, right? Follow that. That will lead to your passion. That's what I do in my passion programs. Women say, well, what is my passion? And I say, well, let's find out. Let's explore that. It's wonderful, right? To go into that. And what are you capable of? I don't know. Well, let's find out, right?
That's it. And it's exciting. Yes. It's really, really exciting. And it's what actually gives you energy, what charges you. It's like plugging yourself into a charger where you do something, but you love it so much that it actually gives you energy rather than take away energy. That's what it is. Because
that's the difference, isn't it? That's the key, isn't it? It actually, one of the other ladies that I interviewed here, said, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's true, when you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work. It's honestly, it's true. You couldn't make it up. It's really,
No,
time just
and
flies.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And what the mistake that a lot of us women do is that we put our energy and attention onto doing the things that drain us, hoping that one day we will find that passion, then dreaming about that life, thinking that dreams are just dreams and they're just an imaginary thing or an escape world where we can go to take a break from our world. But it's not true.
Yeah.
Dreams are there for a reason. Having imagination in dreams, it's not just to stay there for you to escape. It is meant to be your guiding principle. Like, it's meant to be where you gain your inspiration from to keep you going towards those things, particularly, not as an escapism in life.
Yeah.
So there's a particular purpose. As I say, the universe doesn't make mistakes. So
No,
the
it
greater
doesn't.
purpose, call it God, or I don't want to go into religious connotation, call it God or greater consciousness, whatever
So what do you want to call it?
language.
Jesus, God, Buddha, universe, source?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter
Exactly. But
really.
that
It's
source
the
doesn't
same higher
exist.
power, right? It's the same higher
Exactly.
power. And we
Exactly.
did come here with a purpose, right? We all did come here. Don't think that you made a mistake and you're thinking, oh, I didn't. Why did, I wouldn't have chosen to come here now. Well, actually, you did choose to come here and live this life right now. And we're going through the most extraordinary changes on the planet, good and bad. It's rocketing. I mean, it's, I realize that, where I live on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, it puts me in I can raise my vibration here. I can see things from a higher perspective, and I don't take things seriously. I can just laugh about it. When you're in the midst of everything, everything has
overwhelmed,
impact and overwhelms you, right? It's good to step away. So let me ask you about sources of advice. So when you started, I thought that was interesting. I recommend this as well. You said when you started to really dive into your passion and find your purpose, you started doing workshops and courses. And can you talk a little bit about that and why you did it?
Yeah. So first, we need to educate ourselves about these things. So we cannot just go it alone. Every great person on the planet has ever achieved anything in life usually had not just a coach, but the whole team behind them, right? Every successful person, whether that's going to be car sports races, whether it's going to be any sports people in like tennis or football, everybody has not only a coach but has a whole team behind them to help and support. And education is really important. And for me, stepping into my power was first understand how do I do that? How does my mind actually work? Why do I have conflicting thoughts and conflicting emotions? Why can't I make a decision? Why don't I even know what I want? Isn't it meant to be the easiest thing in the world? It's all these questions. And what is the meaning of my life? I needed formal education from somebody, clearly not from a particular government body of education, but I knew that I needed to educate myself about how do I discern these different voices in my head? How do I make a choice that is aligned with my heart? How do you do that? And diving into this world of self-awareness and understanding, how does my brain work, how does my mind work, what do I have in my consciousness that is preventing me from knowing things about myself, and in really diving into this unconscious world of mine, facing my shadows, understanding what my intuition is, starting to work with different tools and techniques like the principles of alchemy, and really transmuting lower level emotions and vibrations into higher ones. And how can we actually do that? That took a little while, because learning is easy. You can just, go to a course and learn it. But it's the practice after this that actually makes the difference, not only in my life, but that makes you able to help others as well. So it was really funny, because one of the mentors that actually studied with him, he was like, you now are being trained, but your real life actually starts after the training. It's not during the training, it's after the training where you have to go about in life and actually practice what you've learned. That's what's going to set you apart and differentiate you from who you were before and from anybody else. So it was that part that was the most challenging, intriguing, exciting, but also nerve-wracking, because literally operating from a completely different perspective in life is scary, right? Because we are taught to make decisions based on our emotions. When you're angry, you shout or get upset. When you're sad, you cry or pull away. We all react to our emotions on a daily basis. And nobody teaches us at school or at home, unless you're really lucky, and you have chosen a family that's going to educate you spiritually and energetically and consciously. We're not taught how to handle our emotions. We're not taught how to be emotionally intelligent and how to hold all of that tension that can be inside of us and make an empowered decision in the midst of a turmoil and conflicting emotions, which happens on an everyday basis. We are human beings. We're not these perfect
robots.
Exactly. We're not robots. So we are meant to wake up to all of these parts of ourselves and to be able to face that, understand that, and hold space for yourself so that you can make the best decisions is the key part. So that is for me the key. For me, if I have to give a piece of advice to anybody about anything, it'll be soul search. Really educate yourself about yourself. Exactly, because the only relationship that you're going to have from the moment you conceive to the moment you leave is with yourself. Regardless of whether you can create other relationships or not, this is going to be the relationship that you have no choice to have but to have.
That's right.
You have yourself, and that's it.
And women that usually come from the corporate background or professional background in the masculine world, they're very much in that logical, analytical mind, and it's quite a leap to join the two together. The same as you talked about, and the same experience I had. How do I join the logical and the spiritual together? To find what's the difference between my intuition and my ego? What's the difference between my higher self and who's talking to me? What how do I tap into the voices and the intuition and follow that? And I think it is difficult. And I think the first thing to do is definitely to educate yourself. And then I think it's so important to find somebody that's already done that, that's already had that experience, that can guide you in taking the next steps, which is, most of us, that's what we do. We teach and we lead from experience.
Exactly. And we don't have to go it alone. That's the greatest thing. We don't have to go on this journey alone. We're not alone. And there's so many people like me and you and other people who do this work, have done this work for so long and continue to do this work. And there are people that have done it for even longer. And then, that's the way it works in life. We all need somebody to help, to guide us, to help us, to coach us, or to give us, to remind us of our own power that we have, so that we can stay true, so that we can feel that support. Because it's, when we change, when we empower ourselves, and when we go on that journey, it is so easy to feel alone, because so many people around us are not on that journey, and choosing the easier path of being completely unconscious and just going along with life as if as if life happens to you, rather than you having the power to create your life. And along that path we will meet so many people that choose the easier path, and it's so easy because we are social beings to just go along that, because it's kind of slightly easier, more painful but easier, you see. And because it is easier, we get distracted, and we literally distract ourselves, go on a completely different track.
Well, the world is full of distractions.
Exactly. There's just so much advertisement, there's so much going on social media, and everybody's trying to show something, everybody's trying to be seen, and in that world there's just so much distraction. And if you don't have the centeredness, and if you don't have somebody to support you in that centeredness, the chances of actually going along your path and unleashing your true potential, stay true to yourself, are very slim.
I agree. You have a coach, don't you? I have a coach, and I'm part of a membership group as well, who support me from all areas of whatever I'm struggling with. Because trust me, I mean, everybody has perfect. The next level to we're take. Not perfect here. We all want to get to the next level, and practice does not make perfect, right? It does not. It's just perfect does not exist. Even robots aren't perfect, but it just doesn't exist. We are always evolving. We are humans, and all we want to do is improve. And you are very, very astute with that, with the self-awareness. Otherwise, we're just going through the motions and life's happening for us. And instead, you want to consciously live. And that means that you make your choices. You have the freedom to make your choices. And unfortunately, that's very uncomfortable. It's not very easy. because you've got to move away from everything you've ever known, and it can be lonely, which is why somebody, a mentor, coach, teacher, is very good to take you on that journey, right, and support you, because you're going to need it.
Yes.
So let's finish with a final question here. So do you have any advice for the women listening today about why they should follow their passion?
Yeah, actually, why women should follow their passion. So for me, it has always been like this. You practically have, I mean, you do have a choice, but you're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't. First, because it's selfish, right? Not to. And second, because there's no greater fulfillment and happiness in life than living a life that is just so aligned with who you are, that every day is a bliss, as we said, that every day is a bliss. And no matter how many challenges you have, you are just so motivated to overcome them that it doesn't matter. Nothing in life actually matters as long as you have your purpose and your passion, because that's your groundedness. That's what makes you wholesome. From there, you can create relationships, friendships, you can participate in society, you can contribute to society, you can become successful, you can do whatever you want from there. But if you don't have your sacred space where you're coming from a centered place, living the life that you want, following that passion of yours that defines the person that you are, that defines you as a person, as a value, as an individual, then you will never be able to live the life in such a bliss and in such a flow, because every time we align ourselves with our heart and with our passions, the universe honestly conspires in bringing so many synchronicities along the way. Life becomes so magical. Sometimes it breaks my brain. It's literally, I've never experienced anything like this in the world of the corporate. I've never, literally, because when you follow your natural success, like the Fibonacci, starting from zero and building whatever you want to build, whether your passion is dancing or business or coaching or healing or whatever your passion is, it doesn't matter. As long as you follow that path, so many synchronicities will happen, because that's what you're meant to be doing. The universe conspires and helps you and supports you along the way.
Oh gosh, I couldn't agree more.
And when you don't follow that, there's so much resistance. And not because life is meant to be difficult and you're meant to put up with it. No, it's because life is telling you that's not your path, darling. It's not meant to be hard. Redirect to the path that is nice and, not easy per se, but as in flow, and it happens for you and it's supported. And there's just so much more love and greatness and gratitude and humbleness and abundance, right? And abundance, because of health, of love, of relationships. And I'm just going to finish with that. And once we find our passion and purpose and we really follow that, we become so whole that we can create the most beautiful relationships in life. Because when a woman doesn't find that, she's searching for that fulfillment in a relationship, and then we become codependent on that relationship, as if we lose the relationship, there's nothing to hold on to. We feel like the earth is being pulled underneath our legs and we're kind of up in the air, have no groundedness, because we don't know who we are without that relationship. Yeah. But if you have your purpose and your passion, it's not like it doesn't matter. Obviously, it does matter, because everybody wants to, we're social beings. We want to have relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, all sorts of relationships. We are social beings. But once you have your passion and purpose, you become so grounded that you can positively contribute to that relationship rather than be dependent on it. It's a very different energy, as you can probably appreciate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I strongly encourage everyone to experience the magic of life by following their passion and purpose, because there's nothing greater than that in life.
What a wonderful way to end this podcast today. Thank you so much, Mariya, for joining us. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Beth. Thank you so much to everyone listening.
Thanks for listening today. If you would like to join me in telling your story about how you are quietly quitting your career and how you've got one foot out of the 9-to-5 rat race, or if you are a woman who has a story about already leaving the professional world to follow your passion and can offer inspiring advice, then please message me to get yourself booked in on an episode just for you. If you have a question for me or would like to know more information about how I can support you in one of my passion programs, please message me on Instagram, Facebook, or visit my website. You can also grab your free copy of my workbook, Your Passion Journey Starts Here, by joining my online community. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this podcast and share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Beth Taylor at the Passionate Pioneer Podcast, signing off.